Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Caravallo from ZK Research, and I'm here at the HP Amplify 2024 event, which is HP Inc.'s partner event. I'm joined by Joe Berger. Joe, you're a regular on ZKast.
Hey, always glad to see you. Another conference, another week in Vegas for us.
Joe, you are from Worldwide Technology, or WWT. You're a pretty big partner of HP's, aren't you?
Yeah, we do a decent amount of business with them, especially when I look at it more on the poly side of the house too, around video endpoints. So yeah, excited to be here. Good show so far.
So let's start with video, because one of the big themes of this show, of course, is AI. Because AI is a big theme of every show.
Of course.
And it will be for the next foreseeable future, right? So now, a lot of the show was focused on AI and PCs and printers and things, but AI has been a core part of collaboration and video for quite a while. So where are we right now?
It is kind of funny, you know, AI is having its moment, and I think that was mostly because of GPT and generative AI coming out, you know, in the past 12 months. But AI and video has actually been around for probably 4 to 5 years. Think about things like intelligent framing, where it can track your head in the room and then do kind of the sound boundaries, or put the name tag on you.
I mean, speaker tracking's been available.
Speaker tracking's been around forever. So there's, I think a lot of times too, end users don't know it's AI doing some of these things. It's feature sets that maybe not everyone knows about.
To me, that's the best kind of AI. That you don't know it's there, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Now. One of the interesting press releases, I guess, from Poly or HP Poly this week was their worker index, right? So they actually studied a bunch of workers. They didn't ask the IT people their interpretation of what the workers wanted. They actually asked the workers about their satisfaction with work. And I think we're in this fascinating time right now where I'm seeing companies mandate hybrid work, then repeal the mandate, and then mandate again, right? We've got, this phrase, make the office a magnet, not a mandate, right? So the data shows that employees want to work in a hybrid mode, and companies want to support that. But I think it was only 23% of workers, about a quarter of the workers actually felt they had the right technology to do so and had a good relationship with work. And I hear this all the time from companies, is why is there this disconnect now between what companies are trying to do with hybrid work and the way workers feel?
I don't think employers understand what their employees actually need. We run into this all the time. We're meeting with a lot of big companies now, especially on a global scale, and I always ask them, number one, have you figured out hybrid work? No one's really cracked it yet.
It's been a disaster, really, right?
They've got different programs, and they try the mandates for 3 days in, or they let people kind of, come and go as they please. I'm seeing it varies a lot by city and departments, because in some cities, if your traffic is an hour and a half to get to work, your commute, it doesn't make sense. But if your employees can get to the office 3 days, they can come in, right?
Yeah.
And then the other big thing that we run into is when you don't understand your employees' needs and how they want to work and the tool sets, it all breaks.
Yeah.
We do a lot of persona modeling where it's really getting down to the nitty gritty of like, when you come in, what does that experience need to be? Who are you meeting with? What are the tools you have to get your jobs done when you come in? And then when you go home, what does that environment have to be, and kind of everything in between. I think a lot of IT shops kind of did persona modeling years ago, and it's basically you get this laptop with these 5 with these 5 apps on it, and here's a security load, and that's a persona to them, right? We get a lot more in detail of that, because you really have to understand when someone comes in the office, what is that day journey? What does it have to feel like? How are they going to work with other people? Do they need access to an innovation room, or a private huddle space, or a big conference room? So you got to understand all these things.
But do people even know how to use that? So because if you look at all the innovation we've had in this space since the pandemic started, the technology available today is head and shoulders different.
There's a lot of tools that everyone adopts, for sure,
Right, and then I talk to companies that deploy the technology, but still nobody uses it. And then when I talk to workers, they got so used to working, on their laptop, on a Zoom call or a Teams call or WebEx call, that they just go to the office and replicate that.
Yeah.
Right, and so this mode of having to get back into trying to collaborate in a room with people and then bringing some people in virtually just isn't natural right now. It's not part of our DNA anymore.
We have a lot of conversations around that. Basically, how do we make the meeting room, the new term is that frictionless experience or seamless experience? I think one of the problems is it's a lot easier at your desk. If you're going from a Zoom call to a Teams call to a WebEx call, it's all just an app on your desktop. When you walk into a conference room, the stuff all has to work together better, and it's got to be easy for the end user to walk in there and launch that. So we talked to a lot of customers about it. I mean, all the big vendors are trying to solve for it. Interoperability is a major talking point for us. It's getting there. There's different ways to get a hold of it, but it's still, it's coming. It's coming along.
Yeah. So HP a couple of years ago acquired Poly with that vision in mind, right? In fact, when they first acquired them, I didn't really understand why they bought them. I understand conceptually that it's all the office stuff, but I know you've had a lot of discussions about what the future might look like. Can you share some vision as to if the integration works properly, what would that office of the future look like?
I think what their vision is kind of the integration between the HP device as you walk into the room automatically recognizes the device, and it makes it easier to launch that call, share content, an extension of your video now. I see where they're trying to go with it. I think there's some excitement there. They got a little bit of work to do. I mean, they're still getting through the integration for the companies, but I can see where that vision's headed. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think
it's a different way to approach it than some of the other vendors.
And so then your identity really lives on that device.
It's the device,
right? And then it lights everything up.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we talked about the best kind of AI is the invisible AI, and that indeed would make it invisible, right? Then you wouldn't have to worry about does that device recognize this type of meeting or this type of meeting.
It just recognizes it's ready to have a meeting and it goes.
Yeah.
I think that's the overall intent there.
I certainly think that's a necessary part of it.
Yeah.
Now I know one of the challenges companies have when they deploy all the technology is understanding how it fits together. Does this work with this? And they often they don't have the money to build these test labs and stuff anymore. So talk about the Worldwide Advanced Technology Center and how customers can leverage that to actually help them with this without having to invest a whole bunch of capital.
Yeah, for sure. So our ATC, our Advanced Technology Center, it's really what you just said. It's an outsourced lab where you can do proof of concept, sandbox environments, fire up a lab on demand, or we have some customers that just completely outsource their whole entire lab environment to us. Now, a lot of that, they think of us in the traditional sense of more data center, but in our world, because of video endpoints and phone technologies and end user compute and kind of everything that goes around that, we do a lot of physical testing in our lab space. So, there's new cameras coming out regularly. HP this week just launched their E360 table camera. We'll get that in our lab and we can start understanding, hey, how does this thing work? Is it doing what it says? How are some of the competitors kind of attacking that same issue? And we can play with the physical space, the furniture dynamics, and get a better idea of, do these things work well together? What vendor does things differently and what makes more sense? So we do a lot of testing, and we also like to bring a lot of that information out to our customers. So on our website, WT.com, we share all that insight, so people can come read research reports on how it all works.
So they can do that, or if they happen to be where a Worldwide Technology location is, St. Louis, DC,
come
New York,
take a look at it and test it out.
And I think one of the important parts of that is one of the things you brought up was the room dynamics. Right? You don't really understand how the technology fits into the room until you can experience it yourself. And I know when I was in your St. Louis ATC, they had a line painted on the floor, and they said if you're in front of this line, you actually become invisible. But those aren't the kind of things you think about until you see it.
It's things like that. It's everyone's got glass buildings. Well, how does light reflection come off of glass, and sound sound noise and all that. So there's a lot of those types of things that we have to go test to make sure when we talk to our customers about it, we can give them kind of the best experience, and we can tell them how all these things are going to come together.
All right, Joe, so even though the data, shows that there's this big gap between what workers want and what employees, are you pretty optimistic that, that although the technology's there now, it's just more a matter of culture and training to close that gap?
It's honestly a lot of it, but we do talk a lot about culture. If your culture can embrace change and kind of move along and adapt to some of these things.
Change?
Especially in this space, it's moving pretty quickly. We talk a lot about culture change and also understanding adoption and training techniques to actually train people on some of these newer technologies that they're implementing.
Yeah. Now, do you worry that because of AI, the pace of change is faster, and we already have a hard time digesting?
It's getting fast. It's getting tough.
Now, do you think AI, though, in some ways, can simplify the digestion of the technology because it makes it easier, or does the pace of change get so fast that most companies will fall behind?
I think it's kind of both, and to your point around it being kind of hidden, I think everyone right now is trying to figure out those different AI use cases, but where it's going to make the most sense is when you don't realize it's actually happening. I'm just getting my job done, and it's behind the scenes. I don't think we're quite at that point yet. I think we're trying to figure out when does that happen, But everyone right now is looking at this saying, okay, how can it make my workers more productive, more efficient, save me money, keep me out of risk, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Well, I appreciate appreciate the time.
It's always fun.
This is day one of the event. I think the keynotes were interesting. We had highlighted by a lot of big names.
names.
CEO,
Yeah.
Pat Gelsinger, Satya Nadella. So
a couple big ones tomorrow too.
yeah. So I do think that HP is in an interesting position just because their ecosystem is all, NVIDIA, Intel, VMware, Google, right? So they become the junction point for a lot of that technology.
Yeah,
so that's
for
pretty
sure.
interesting itself.
Yeah.
So. All right, so thanks for joining me. On behalf of Joe Berger from WWT, I'm ZKast from ZK Reaches. Thanks for watching. As always, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast.